All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to this broadcast. So this broadcast is going to talk about PyCharm, and PyCharm is the integrated development environment for Python. So the Python version I'm using is the 2.7 version. And you can see this below. So I'm running 2.7. So the command will be geared towards 2.7 and not the 3.4. And so in Python, one of the first things I say everyone should do is be able to at least print name. So we're going to go through. I'm going to show you how to do a command such as print name. So here I'm going to go to new. I'm going to hit and bring it back up. I'm going to go new, and what you don't see is I'm going to create an actual Python file. And so it's going to add a Python file. I'm going to call this print name Dawson.py, and always associate py. And I do this so that Python knows that this is a file to be associated with Python. I will click enter, which is it's going to bring this up, and I'm going to change this. So these are 4 ones that I did. So now it says author. What am I doing? When I hit enter, so I'm going to bring it down, and then here is where I'm going to kind of put my comments, like like some of the comments I want to put, like who am I? So I am person. Put a comment about the class, or we'll say sample class, and then I can put sample date. So these are comments that should be read at the start of the program, so a person can actually go through here, and they can say, okay, I'm looking at the comments. Who's the author? What is it for? What is the date? What are the items that are associated with this actual Python program? Now, in Python, in terms of printing an item out, is rather easy. So I can type in print, and what you don't see is all the other options that come up. So on my screen, it shows print, and then it has it shows a function, a variable, and it just shows print. I would go, print, and then here I can create. Notice when I hit the quotations, the double quotations, it fills up automatically. So if I get rid of this, I just hit single quotations, it'll fill up, and I can say I'm going to print. I'm going to do print my name, right? And I'm going to put a comment because I want to make sure that people know what this particular line should be doing. So I'll say print, and I'll say print name. I can do, and then I can just hit I can just run it. So I'll click run, and you can hit Alt Shift F10, and now run. So I'll hit run, and then on my screen it shows all the different programs I can run. So here I have the print name Dawson. I hit run, and then in the bottom it runs right here. So right in the bottom here, you'll see that it prints the name. So with the traditional Python, what happens if I click or run print item, or run any type of command that should execute in Python, the terminal will actually show the results. So in PyCharm, that item comes up right here. So everything will actually populate right here. So that's one of kind of the great things. So using PyCharm, all the items load right here. So notice that what printed out was right here. So you say, how would I print out multiple items? Which is rather easy. So I can do print, and then I could do sample tech class. I can just do a statement, print class. I can do print date. So October 20, 2015, and today's date. And I would save this item. I would run it. And then at the bottom here, you see that all these items print out the screen. So that's one of the neat things to do. So this is an easy, I say, first item to actually deal with in terms of a coding, where you have the print statement. Now we're going to create another one, and we are going to go here. I'm going to go to new. So all I did was a left click, and then Python files coming up. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to now print a date. So basically, I'm going to show you how to print a date. I'm going to say print date Dawson.py. That's what I name my file. Always .py. Always here shows who the author is. So this author equals UMSL. It's the name of my machine. Here, I'm going to put a comment. I put my name. So whatever my name is. My name, simple class, just good commenting, simple date. All right. So with being able to print a date, it's a little different. So these are items I have to import. So like import calendar and stuff like that. So I'm just going to do a date on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the date. So I'm going to import, and then I'm going to do date time. And when I'm typing this item, then what you don't see is that if I type in date time, is that it's going to automatically create a. It's going to show a ton of different functions that are built in. So now it's showing me built-in function date time, and I'll do today. Say it equals. In the format, I want date time. Date, and then I want .today. And so this is what you see. And then, even though I'm importing the item out, if I want anything to be printed to the screen, I need to specifically tell it to print. So if I want to print what the date and time is, well, that's easy because I now have said the variable today equals date time today or whatever. So I need to print whatever today is, because today is going to equal this line right here. So all I'm doing is typing print. Notice, remember these will change colors as well. So I'll hit today, and then I will save this. I'll save it and I'll run it. And if you look in the bottom, you'll see that it actually ran. So it says today is the 2015 October 20th. And I can change how it displays on the bottom, and I can add some other items like calendar and stuff like that. But this is just a simple how to print a date. And so it's important with like date and calendar, those items you import. So you have to bring those items into your Python program, and then you're able to start actually using them. So another one that I want to bring up, this is a program just to do a simple calculation. So I'm going to do new. I'm going to do Python file, simple calculation.py. That's what I'm calling it. So I'm going to do the same thing as the other times. I'm going to put my name. I'll put October 20th. And then I'm going to put sample class. And then now I'm going to do assign variables. So this is pretty cool. So I can say x equals 20. So y equals. So I'm just saying what these variables equal. So y equals, we'll say 80, and we'll say z equals. And then I can say O equals. I can do x times y. So x equals, O equals x times y, and then plus z. And then I'm going to print, oops, wrong one, sorry. Then I'm going to print O. All right. So all I did was assign, 20. Oh, good looking out for me. Thought I hit plus there. All right. So let me do plus. See. All right, awesome. All right. All right, now I'm going to run it. All right, so now I'm going to run it, so it's been corrected. So now I'm going to save it as well, but you can Alt-Shift F10. I'm going to do run. And so at the bottom, you see the calculation running. Now, the other thing is if I had X and I said X equals 10, and then I went back here and said X equals 1, and then I ran it, you notice that I get a completely different number. When you assign, say if I assign X 20 and I reassign it 1, it's going to go to the last assigning of that number. So that is what is going to happen. So I can say, okay, well, y equals 3, and then y equals 1,000. Well, y is going to equal 1,000 because the computer is going to recognize, the program is going to recognize the last assigned number that I gave to that variable. So this is how you would do a simple, simple function. Now you can do other simple stuff like I can just say x equals 20, y equals 80, and I can just do print x plus y, right? I can just do that. So there's numerous ways to do it, but think of it as doing, just simple arithmetic. 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, but you're just telling the computer simply what you wanted to do. And so here it can act as a calculator. Now I'm going to show here how you can actually have the item act as like a tip calculator. I have a tip calculator function that I've done, and I'll show you how that looks. And so I'm going to bring up another one, another Python file. I'm just calling this Dawson calculator.py. But here I'm doing the same thing. Raise Dawson sample class October 20, 2015. And so I'm going to say the tip. Say tip equals this integer, and then I'm going to do raw input. So it's going to take whatever the input is. So raw input, and then here it says prompt equals what the prompt is. Enter amount to tip 10, 15. I have that in there. So here, I'm going to say if the tip equals 10, so I'm writing total equals, and so the total I'm going to say is 100, right? So I'm just saying basically how that calculated out. So now it's going to calculate that amount. Now it's going to print the total. So now I'm doing an else if statement. So basically, an else if statement states as, if I say something equals 10, well, else if is better stated this way. So so for a function like this, it could ask for a number. So if a number equals 10, this is what's going to come out. If this equals that, this will come out. And so basically, it's looking at a number of different numbers that are available, and then based upon what I'm putting in the program, inputting in, then it's going to provide another statement. So else if is if I have multiple items that can equal something. So here I'm going to say if tip equals 15, and I'll just say what the total equals. So the total will be basically the same. Well, the total is. So it's going to be 100. I got to just put basically the calculation there. Here it's going to print total. And so I'm almost done. So mine, when I'm typing items like total and stuff like that, but PyCharm, there's tons of different help commands, stuff like that comes up. And I'll show that a little bit later when we talk about debugging and stuff. Here's print total. All right. So this is what I have. So what you see here is basically they can enter a type of amount, and I tell them they can enter 10, 15, or 20. So these are the amounts I give them to actually, I tell them what to put in. And then if the tip equals 10, this is what's going to run, right? So it says exactly what it's going to run, and then it says print the total. And then it says if it's 15, it's going to run that same calculation. Instead of a 10, it's a 15. And then here it does the same thing, but it just, it's just 20. So if you're curious about the decimal point before the 2, remember 20%, you just move the decimal point over to the left twice. And so that's where the point 2 comes from, if you're curious. All right, so I'm going to do run. So Alt-Shift F10. So it's asking the enter amount. So it ran. So I'm going to check. I'm going to go through and keep checking to see if it's going to run. All right, let's try this again. And I'm going to do 20. So it's pretty neat. So I'm going to try 2 more items. We'll see if the 15 works. So it works. And then I'm going to try one of the 3 numbers that is not there and see what happens. So we're going to say 25. Did nothing happen. Now I can have it set up where it returns, please enter a correct amount, or any other number it says please enter correct amount. I can have it set up for doing something like that. But this is just kind of a quick setup to show you how you can create a quick calculator for doing your tips and stuff like that. All right, so another cool one to show is a splice. All right, so I am going to create a new file called Dawson Splice .py. And so I'm just going to copy these items. All right, so I'm going to put a comment up here. Create a word from the letters below. All right, so I'm basically going to create a word from these letters, and so these are the letters, and so these are the letters right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out the letters that I want. So the way that this reads is this is 0, right? So this is 0, this is 1, that's 2, this is 3, that's 4, and so forth. And so if I want to print an item out, I have to do print, right? So I say if I want to print out the P, I do print letters, and then the P is a 2. So I run that. like I said, this is 0, 1, 2, and then you continue with the count. So what I would like to do now is I want to print letters to make a word. So I am going to print these letters, these numbers, and I'm going to run this item. And now it's going to print the word Python. So it's pretty cool in terms of seeing exactly what you can do. But the dictionary is freaking awesome. You know, say you have an encoded message, right? You have an encoded message, and you know there's a ton of numbers that you need to pick out. You could provide someone a program, and then you could just, hey, here's all these numbers. Pull from these numbers and letters to see what the message says. So it could be a cool way of messaging, as well, or hidden messaging and whatnot. But that's kind of how you that is how you do a dictionary. So going back over these items real quick, print name is fairly simple. So all print name is going to do is just print. Well, sorry, the print is going to do is print anything to the screen down here in your terminal. So I could do print name. I could print name. I could print anything. But basically, this is what's called this is basically a string, whatnot. It's just a string of characters. So say if I go to simple calculation, and basically I can put, let's see, we'll do print O, but say if I put in parentheses, these in parentheses, and then if I do print Y plus Z, right, so I do Y plus Z, and now if I do run, and simple calculation. Now you notice that it just basically took Y and Z. Say I did a print Y and Z. These are basically, 80, 15, and down here it put them together. So now it's 8,015, rather than actually adding the numbers together. So if I got rid of this, rid of these quotations, went back here to run, and now I have 95. So important to pay attention to what exactly special characters or whatnot you may, or what have you, may be using with Python or PyCharm. Make sure you're not creating strings and stuff like that. So that pretty much wraps this up for these various items. And what I'll do is I will post a number of these items, these programs, so you have them ready available for yourself and for manipulation.